Harry Potter, the boy who lived. And lived on his films have actually. Although the films ended in 2011, the already massive fan base is forever growing. I mean, I can imagine 10 or 20, even 30 years from now, people still talking about Harry Potter as much as they do now. Now, I've been getting all sorts of requests from fanboys and girls alike for me to review this film. Well, actually sort of turned into demands. So before that turned into really horrific, violent abuse, I have given in to peer pressure, so I'm here to give you the top 8 Harry Potter films. Yes, a review of all of them, a franchise review. Now I'm going to do this in a top 8 style, so from worst to best. So prepare yourself for the magic. Oh, is that really the best metaphor I could come up with? Oh, bloody hell. It is a bit disappointing to see the penultimate film at the bottom of this list, but to be honest, that's where it deserves to be. The thing about this film is that it diverges so much from the original structure that we're used to in Harry Potter films. Hogwarts has seconds worth of screen time, half the main characters are missing, and all the new characters have a very half-assed introduction. By far my least favourite thing about this film is that nothing happens. The whole thing is up to the trio not knowing where they're going, not knowing what they're doing, not knowing how they're going to do it, not knowing where they are, not knowing who they are, or just all of them at the same time. Okay, it's very frustrating, and although my Harry Potter informant, I've got an informant who answers all my Harry Potter related questions, she says that this is what half the book is like, and I've got nothing against that, it makes sense. But the thing is, after watching a film, I just thought, this is a movie about nothing. It makes virtually no progression at all. But it still has a very solid package you get in Harry Potter films. There are some really, really good set pieces, and it shows a refreshing new look on the trio's friendship. It really gets tested in this one. So because of that, I'm going to give Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1 a 6 out of 10. To me, The Prisoner of Azkaban was the least memorable of all the films. Probably because there's no Lord Voldemort, the main antagonist. That's a bit questionable if you ask me. And it has another really, really irritating thing about it. Another really terrible aspect. Now, the second half of this film is really cool, it's very elaborate, it's very interesting, and it's very intelligently done. But after watching the second half, it makes the first half seem very pointless and meaningless. Because you realise that the first half of this film is just a build-up to make the second part really cool. And so it did feel, once again, like a waste of time, to be honest, because it was like a tutorial, really. That's all it really did. The only reason the first half is there is so it can build up to the second part. And, to be honest, the second part is the only reason I would watch this film. Apart from the very pointless first half, this film has an incredibly intriguing premise and loads of innovation, which really does save this film's neck. And although more so at times, this film is still very enjoyable. So, The Prisoner of Azkaban gets a 6 out of 10. The Outcast, the bad boy. The Goblet of Fire will always be remembered as the one that went all bad and dark and murky. And also, it's just a lot meaner. There's loads of action, plenty of it to keep this film going. It's, this film's main backbone is all its action-packed action. Keeps this film going to its unbelievably climatic ending. A very unsuspecting ending. It's really good. I love an unsuspecting, yet awesome ending. All the characters just seem a little bit more 2D, because there's all this action going on, there isn't much time for character development. I mean, yeah, you get a few convoluted conversations and fallout, but they immediately get back together and like the whole thing never happened. Like boys always do when they have a fallout, as opposed to girls who don't talk for 20 years. Probably should have mentioned that anyway. Also, Harry did seem more reluctant to ask that girl out to the ball than when he confronted Voldemort in the flesh for the first time. That sort of shows why I think this film is the most confused of them all. Just does seem very convoluted and a bit, mishmash. So although this is one of the most iconic, yet confused, installments in the franchise, I'm giving The Goblet of Fire a 6 out of 10. Genesis, the debut. The Philosopher's Stone is the one that got the ball rolling. This is obviously the most childish film of them all. The colour palette is more vibrant, everything seems just a bit more, woo, magic! As in, the rabbit out of a hat as opposed to killing people. Anyway, it just seems more upbeat than the rest. And it's just really cool exploring this new magic world of magic. And it is, quite exciting and special, just exploring this amazing, unbelievable, brilliant, fantastic world of magic with Harry. Pensioners and children alike, we can all relate to this. We all have a little bit of wow when we watch this film. Like going to Legoland. Or was that just me? One thing I find really funny is that I'm pretty sure that the crew had no idea how big this film was going to get. How big this franchise was going to get. And this does show, because this film is not daring in the slightest. It takes absolutely no leaps of faith, no chances. It plays it unbelievably safe. And this does show, because it just, although all the magic stuff does feel special, as a film it doesn't feel that special. It feels like any other childish fantasy film. If it did take a few more leaps of faith, then maybe it would, but to be honest, it does feel like any other fantasy film. And I think the only reason any of us remember this film is because of the films after it. So, although this is a really, really enjoyable film that we can all liken to, it just doesn't feel special in the movie cinema sense, as in the fantasy sense. So, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone gets a 6 out of 10. This film is a big step up from the previous film. Okay, it's the film that gives Lord Voldemort a proper introduction. There's much more intrigue and excitement, and it's one of the best plots in the franchise. Now, Lord Voldemort gets his first proper introduction in this, and as the plot unravelled itself, I thought how clever and intricate it was. It is very well done. Good job, J.K. Rowling. This made a very different atmosphere at the beginning of this film as it did to the end of the film. Although I did feel the movie was a bit effects heavy at times. Very tacky effects a lot of the time. So I've got a big thing about special effects. I think they should either be done perfectly or just only used when necessary. I just prefer a film without special effects, unless they can be done perfectly. But that's just me. And there are some pacing issues as well. A lot of the time a film just stops, so other parts can just catch up, and then we can continue. Like when the school trip and all the fat kids get left behind. You know who you are. Yeah, you do know who you are. But I do really like The Chamber of Secrets. I think its impact is increased by the fact it's such a leap from the Philosopher's Stone. It's so different in theme and quality, really. But definitely the best thing about this film is that it actually made me think, you know what? Harry Potter might, just might, be different to your average child's fantasy flick. So The Chamber of Secrets gets a 7 out of 10. A film about teenagers rebelling against school. What's not to like? Well, not much actually. This one is great. Okay, it is great. I mean, of course there are things to dislike, you know, pacing issues of course, and also that there is a lack of new characters. You know, some of them just jump in, hello, then go whenever the plot doesn't need them. And also, this is about the creation of the Order of the Phoenix, so lots of new characters would be fitting, you know, it'd be a good time to introduce them. Obviously not. The characters aside, this is an awesome film. Okay, for once the gang isn't accidentally stumbling upon something, they're actually making a choice to do something. And this really develops their character. It's a step up, okay? And that's what this film is, okay? A step up. The story is much more interesting, the acting seems better, the action sequences are really good, the story's awesome, everything just has a sublime touch to it, okay? And for that, I'm giving Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix a 7 out of 10. The Half-Blood Prince is a clear follow-up. From the Order of the Phoenix, he has a plot which carries on into the last film. And a lot of this film is very serious. No mucking about here. And there were some spectacular set pieces. And with just a fantastic ending. But with all this murky seriousness aside, there is also this is also the funniest film in the franchise, and all the jokes are appropriately timed. Thank God, because if they weren't, this would be a massive bug, a really big problem. I really do love this film, but in a way that's different to the others. Okay, they've always enticed their audience through all this mystery and magic and intrigue, but this film is much more character driven, a lot less childish, and the things that enticed me were the parts and sections that resembled drama. They were the strongest parts of the film, and I absolutely loved them, and all of this creates an utterly superb film. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince gets an 8 out of 10. It all came down to this. The big finale, the epic finale, what we've all been waiting for. And I mean epic. This film is by far the biggest in scale. This is everything that fans were wishing for. All the questions are answered. Everything is just done the way it should have been. Very climatic, incredibly dramatic, fast-paced. It was just everything that I wanted from this film, that it executed brilliantly. I'm glad that it wasn't just one big action fight. I'm glad that Harry didn't take up the whole screen. I'm just glad this film wasn't crap, really, because it wasn't, it was great. There are no loose ends that need tying up. I'm glad that they split the Deathly Hallows into 2. The creators have thought of everything to make this the perfect ending to an utterly remarkable franchise. And this outstanding film rightly deserves the title of the best Harry Potter film there will ever be. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 gets an 8 out of 10. There you have it. Harry Potter. I'm not just going to leave you with the individual film ratings, I'm going to give you an average of the franchise in a whole. The score is 6.75 as an average, which is very surprising because I don't completely agree with it. Because this film's future classic status is set in stone, okay? It's one of the most prolific franchises of the century, up there with the Bourne trilogy and Lord of the Rings. And it has one of the most loyal fan bases of any type of media. You know, I think its fan base is up there with Star Trek. Okay, I honestly think they are that loyal. Okay, and this franchise is just, I'm pretty sure, the greatest children's films ever. Okay, this film is going to be remembered for decades and decades and decades. Harry Potter, not just the boy who lived, the boy who will live on for decades to come. Oh yeah, one more thing. Happy birthday, Charlie. But apart from that crap first half, the film altogether has a very, very interesting premise. It is very, very intriguing as well, very interesting, and what the f is that word? But apart from the crappy first half, this film has a very, very interesting premise and an intriguing something, which I can't remember the word. Innovation. Apart from the very pointless first half, this film has an incredibly intriguing premise and loads of innovation, which really does save this film's neck.